Giddy up on three. 1, 2, 3.
Giddy up!
You can feel the buzz when you're around this city. People have fallen in love with the Birmingham Stallions. Here we go. We're getting a little juice going.
USFL Championship.
Welcome to another episode of State of the Stallions. Today we've got a great guest on in Stallions defensive back Madre Harper. Madre, man, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to chat with you and really appreciative of you taking the time to do this. I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to chat with me.
No, for sure. Thank you for having me. Well, hey, got to kind of come out and connect with the fans, man. So I'm glad that you had me on there. I'm glad you thought about me. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to be honest, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on here is, you've been kind of doing a little bit of a behind the scenes sort of vlog on YouTube on your channel about life in the UFL and kind of what's it like to be in this league. So, that was kind of how I first really kind of connected with you. I mean, I knew your name on the paper on the roster, but getting to kind of see that, I was like, man, I got to get this guy on. So tell me a little bit more about that. And for maybe people that haven't tuned in yet, kind of what you're doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess taking it back from last year, I really, me and my team really wanted to, I guess, just push content more about, what I did in my regular life. I own businesses and, like I was telling you earlier before we started the show about, being more personable with people and just showing what was going on. And I felt like, man, this was a great opportunity that, one, I'm in my hometown. So I'm from Arlington, Texas. So we're practicing in my hometown. And just to showcase, this league for exposure, what's going on, and just to show people, my story, my journey. Yeah, I play in the league, yeah, I'm in UFL, but I'm keep swinging, we're keep fighting, and I thought it was just a great thing, just to give people, not too much, but a little bit to see, like, hey, man, this is something that I'm doing, I'm embracing, and showing people that your dreams are not dead. Like, you can keep fighting, keep swinging, you can keep achieving. I mean, I've never seen nobody that wanted it with their soul, the way they breathe, their bones, that not make it. So I just wanted to give people that extra inside look. And I mean, I love sharing things and I love, being in front of the camera. I have no problem with that. And I thought it was a good opportunity. Yeah, it's a little different for me because, going around vlogging and having the camera in your face is a little different. That's something that I'm not a shy person, but it did make me kind of like, dang, I really don't want to walk around. But one day I was just like, you know what, man, forget it, man. Like, I'm just going to post, and whether I get 1 million views or 1,000 or hundreds, like, I'm just going to keep putting things out there and to keep, building my own personal brand and just connecting with people.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I've really enjoyed the first couple episodes you had during training camp. And, maybe talk a little bit about kind of like through the season. You mentioned a little bit like some of the content you kind of want to do, but maybe what can people kind of expect like as we get sort of actually into the season and stuff like that is some of the things you kind of want to do with that show.
Yeah. So with that, obviously, I want to tell people about, just the process of what's going on as far as, how we're training, thought process of going into the game, all the tape that we're watching. Obviously, I can't show the tape, but, just talking people through that of like what it's like to be performing at an elite level and kind of the things that we hone in on in order to do that. And then just getting personal with me and the players as far as, doing interviews with the players and, showing them things around the city and, talking to each guy about their experience and how they got here, because all our stories are unique and we all got here some way or some fashion. And just showing that this is going to be a league that is going to stick around, I do believe, and that is going to, with the merger, is going to allow greater talent to come in here and to come out of here, and like, for some people to extend their careers. And so I just wanted to showcase that whole thing with the show and, with the traveling and what we're doing. And, obviously, we want to win a lot of games too as well. So, the good times, but, ultimately, there may be some bad times and how we are going to come up out of that. And, what's kind of be, my mindset behind that and other people as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And definitely for those of you who are listening, make sure you check out Madre's show. We'll include a link to it in the notes and that sort of thing. But you got to check it out. Especially, I know Stallions fans, they love to get that sort of behind the scenes look. And this is the first opportunity we've ever had somebody like that. We've never really had a player do something quite this sort of behind the scenes. Let us kind of see how the sausage is made, so to speak. So you got to make sure you follow along, subscribe to that, and check it out throughout the season. And You mentioned this, Madre, but I was going to come back to it. So you're actually from like you're not just from like the Dallas area. You're like from Arlington, right? Like I mean, like this
Yes,
is
sir.
like
Born and raised.
everything. Yeah, everything's like happening in your backyard.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
how?
It's a blessing for sure. It's a blessing.
Yeah, I mean, did you? If I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, you signed on with the Stallions like kind of before all the merger stuff was finalized, right? So like you didn't necessarily know it was going to be like this at the beginning, did you?
Nah, so like yeah, when I signed on with the Stallions, obviously I went to I was in Steelers training camp, things just
Mm,
didn't work out. Came back home, was just working out, staying in shape. I had a couple workouts and stuff like that. And when I signed on to them, yeah, I didn't know that they was gonna be here because they really one, we didn't know about the merger, so I didn't, it's not like I had any, pre-knowledge. They didn't tell me anything. And then when the merger did happen, they really weren't sure if they were gonna be in Birmingham or be here because
yeah.
the XFL and USFL had two different structures
Right.
as far as the USFL, each teams were in their own city, and the XFL, all the teams were in Dallas Fort Worth area last year. So they weren't sure if during the merger talks, if they were going to stay with that structure, everybody was going to be in one place. But like I said, it worked out for me being in my hometown, and I think it's great because it kind of creates like a hub for us
Yep.
and a lot of resources. Dallas is a big city. Yeah, we're in Arlington. Arlington has a lot going on as well in my city with the Rangers
Hmm.
Stadium, Globe Life, Texas Live, the AT&T Stadium's down the street, and then you're only 15 minutes from Dallas, 15 minutes from Fort Worth, and so I think that this can become a great hub. And everybody knows, I'm from, I'm biased, but Texas loves football, so this is
Yeah.
something that people are definitely going to show up. And we obviously want to put out a quality product, and I think it's easier for all the teams to be here, so everything could just be centrally located. So if there was any crinkles to to work out, everybody's
Right.
here, and everybody could get things done a lot faster.
So have you been like appointed like the team tour guide? Like you take everybody around Arlington and like show them the spots?
I'm not a tour guide, but I'm definitely open for if people have questions or whatever they have. Because some people, you have all different types of personalities on the
Yeah.
team. Some people are going to do their own thing. Some people have traveled to Dallas before, so they know a little bit about
Yeah.
Dallas, not per se Arlington. But yeah, definitely anybody on the team, I let them know, yeah, I'm from here, and I help them out as much as I can, or whatever they need, or realtors or housing, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever somebody needs in the city. I'm definitely here to help them out for sure.
Well, I liked a couple of your videos, you took some of the guys to some of your favorite spots. Yeah, I like you're like, I can't let everybody know about all these places because I don't want them to be overrun with people. You got to keep some of
Yeah,
your secrets.
right.
But
Yeah.
I know some of the guys appreciate you kind of hooked them up with some of the
Nah,
best
for
spots.
sure.
But
Most definitely. You got to eat good. And everybody knows Texas got great food. So
yeah.
you got to eat good while you're here.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about kind of your football journey. So, you obviously, like you said, you're from Texas, and then you were at Oklahoma State for a few years, and then
Yeah.
you finished your college career at Southern Illinois. So maybe um, for those who maybe aren't as familiar with kind of your experience at the college level, what was it kind of like to maybe kind of go from that sort of bigger Big 12 kind of that kind of environment,
Mhm.
and then transfer to a little bit smaller school, but still obviously very competitive program at Southern Illinois and kind of finish up your time there and then try to make it into the sort of the pro level.
Yeah. So when I went to Oklahoma State, I had at a high school. I left high school early, graduated in December, was a spring enrollee, and did my 2 years there. Just had some different decisions and different stuff like that. Just wasn't gelling well with them. And during that time, transferring wasn't not unheard of, but you had to sit out a
Yeah,
year. So at that time, I played as a true freshman. I never used my redshirt year. And so I felt it was like time for me to move on. And, things happen. That's just part of life.
sure.
And I didn't really want to sit out a year. I had one of my friends from high school that was playing at Southern Illinois. I kind of knew about the Missouri Valley Conference because Carson Wentz came from there,
Yep.
and they had a couple of people come from that conference. Missouri Valley. So they are getting people shots to the league, and I didn't really know too much about FCS football just because me coming out of high school, I was a 3-star. I had a good amount of offers, and so my friend went there, and I was like, well, I knew. I mean, I played corner. I strap people up. I was like, I can make it anywhere. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to sit out a year. And back then during those days, they could stop you from going to certain schools. So like, I couldn't go to any
Mm.
Big 12 schools. I couldn't go to any Oklahoma. Like, it was a long list of things before they changed all this new stuff where you can pretty much transfer and it's
Yeah.
no big deal. So, I missed that by a couple years. But yeah, so I
Yeah.
went there. And it definitely was a difference as far as like, obviously, Oklahoma State is, big and grand. SIU's a little on a smaller scale, little different talent pool, but it was still competitive, still allowed me to get out there and showcase my talents. It was a lot colder though, being in Illinois. So that was a little bit of a little bit of a shock. Like Oklahoma gets cold, but Illinois was like cold, cold. And, seeing snow and stuff like that, my car door getting frozen and having to drive to workouts and my car door wouldn't close, like just, stuff like that. And but it definitely was a great experience because I think it allowed me to go through different changes in my life and be uncomfortable. So when I got to the league, I was prepared for stuff like that. I was prepared for the cold when I was at New York my rookie year. I was prepared to play under different coaching staffs, different situations. And we all know, like in life, we're not going to like everything that we do as far as work. You're going to have some bosses that you like more than others. You're going to have some coaches that you like more than others. You're going to be in some, programs that you're like, man, I don't really agree with this. But in the day, I'm here and I'm going to execute it to the best of my ability. So I definitely think it kind of prepared me to be able to go different places and still adapt and still find a way, to go out there and be the best version of me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And totally makes sense. I mean, you like you mentioned, it's crazy to think about, like, you're not an old guy. Like you were in college not that long
Nah,
ago, but it's crazy to think about how much college has changed, like for players in the last couple of years, and
most
like
definitely.
how much more, freedom obviously they have now to kind of be able to move around and try out different things and find the thing that works for them,
Man,
which
they
is
man,
right.
they be gone quick. I'm like, yo, but end of the day, I mean, I tell people all the time, we only get one life
Yeah,
and you only get one career. I'm not
yeah,
telling
yeah,
people not to transfer, and I'm not telling people to transfer, but you do got to sit down with yourself and make the best decision for your career. Now, this
right,
whole transferring 3, 4 times, I'm not really with all that because I'm a firm believer, like either go there, you compete and you win. But
right.
if you go there and it isn't what you thought, or you're not happy and you feel like you need to transfer, then yeah, you need to do that. Because in the day, I try to tell, like, even like, my young bulls at my high school and parents, when they
Hmm.
ask me, like, you're not the one at the school. You're
Yeah,
not the one that's going to workouts. You're not the one that's going to practice. And if your son or daughter, whoever, is truly not happy, it's just going to be hard on them.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
when you are taking these visits and you are asking these coaches questions, ask them questions. Don't be afraid to ask them about certain things. How can my son or daughter get help on this? Or what happens if this happens? Or, try to really, ask very purposeful questions to get a good feel, because end of the day, recruiting is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. They're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
overpromise and they're probably going to underdeliver. And ultimately they have a lot of other kids to deal with. So I mean, you can't just think it's just about me until you go up there and prove that it should be about you.
yeah.
And
No, that's
and I that's just how I feel about it. Like, you got to go up there and prove yourself like anything else. You start from the bottom again. So you still, as a player, got to have that grit to go in there and say, you know what, I got to grind this out. Not go in there and be like, oh, I'm not the man right away. Well, you're not
hmm
supposed to be the man right away.
yeah,
And I tell these high school kids, colleges don't need you no more.
yeah,
With the transfer rule and the transfer portal, why would I want to deal with a kid who is not on his P's and Q's, whose grades ain't right, when I can go get a JUCO transfer? When I can get a transfer from A&M, I could get the disgruntled receiver at Alabama, and he can come
hmm
over here, no problems, and play right away, and he has a lot of experience. So a lot of young kids, I tell them, you need to make sure that you check every box, because you're not just competing against your high schoolers anymore. You compete against transfers and JUCO people. Some coaches are going to feel like, well, I want to take a bunch of transfers and build my team around that because they've already played ball and I don't have to deal with freshmen. So I tell these kids, like, the times have changed for good and bad.
yeah.
Like, yeah, you can transfer and get NIL money and stuff, but at the same time, do you need to recruit 25 freshmen anymore out
Right,
of high school?
right.
You don't need to.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you definitely gotta make sure in high school you're handling your business and making sure you're on everything you're supposed to be on, grades, everything. Like, people are not putting up with, oh well, I have a so-so GPA or I skipped class. Like, no, that's just not good. There's too many athletes out here to
Yeah.
not try to be the best and be the cream of your crop in your class.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's changed the game for sure, like you said, and not just for players, but also for coaches and teams, and that's definitely some great advice. So yeah, hopefully people take that to heart and
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about, so after your time at Southern Illinois, you did make it into the NFL, and had some time on an active roster with the Giants, you mentioned, and but the last couple of years, you've kind of been sort of in that sort of where some players get, where they kind of are bouncing around different practice squads, and it's sort of like you're in the league and teams want you, but you're not sort of kind of breaking through to get that sort of shot on the field. And so what's that kind of experience been like? And, how did that sort of maybe play into you deciding to sort of take this shot on spring football?
Yeah. So definitely, like, after the Giants, And I ended up going back to the Raiders, and like you said, I bounced around. Then I went to the Panthers for 2 years, and Coach Rule and them getting fired, and things like that of that nature happened. And for me, it's always just been about opportunity. For anybody, you can ask anybody I've ever played with. It was never about play. It was never that I couldn't play. I play special teams. I play it all, but just about opportunity. And the league is really full of right place, right time, right situation.
Yeah.
Like you could be the best player in the world, but at the end of the day, if you get to a team where, they have already invested in some guys, or, you're on the brink of that, that depth chart, and they just don't side your way for whatever reason, because every coach has their own opinion about you. And I firmly believe that my job is to change the perception of the people that are making decisions. And whether people like that or not, it just is what it is. So it's up to me to change the perception of that, what they think about me in order, for me to make it. And, I just been falling short a little bit for whatever reason. It just could have been timing. At the Panthers, we had J.C. Horn. The first year I got there, we had J.C. Horn, C.J. Henderson, Stephon Gilmore. We had A.J. Boye. And that's a lot of DBs that have played a lot of ball, first rounders. And obviously, we all know it's just going to be hard to play over them guys. It just is what it was. The next year coming back, we still had Dante and all of them. And, they were trying to figure their things out. So it was just hard for me to break through. And, it wasn't like I was hurt or nothing. It's just, hey, it just wasn't my right time to get in. And, the things just never fell my way. And that's life. And that happens sometimes. And taking this thing with the spring ball, me and my agent were discussing like, well, yeah, I've been on P squads. And after, I left the Steelers, the Steelers went there, went to camp. I just didn't get a lot of burn in preseason. So I just didn't get a lot of tape, and sometimes that happens because I keep trying to tell you that these like, they don't have to play you. Like, yeah, you could be good. Yeah, you could be doing the right things, but ultimately it's still up to the coach. So like, I just have to make the most of my reps that I can with what I get. And, things, I played as much as I could and did what I could and just didn't work out, I didn't get signed, and that's okay. But we made the decisions like, hey, we're going to go in this spring league. We're going to go out here and we're going to dominate and we're going to put it on tape. So for the teams that may have not seen me in a while, maybe still reading that, Giants and, old Raiders, because sometimes they only have so much tape and so much paperwork on you as far as what people think about you. So let's go out there and show people like, I can play, I can still play, could always play. And that, this is something that this is a product of work that you guys are going to want on your team. And so I think it was definitely a great opportunity for me and a lot of guys just to go out there and get opportunity and be able to have a full year or full 10 games per se of a body of work and to showcase what you can do. Because, ultimately in the league, some dudes make the team, but they don't play the position anymore. They just play special teams. And now people aren't sure if they even can play the position anymore, because it just, the years go by. So that was definitely a decision maker for me just to go out there and I'm gonna go out there and dominate and do everything I can, special teams, everything, just to showcase my talent, my speed, and the physical attributes that God gave me, and that this will be something that a team wants.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I mean, congratulations on making it through the cuts and making the final roster, because obviously with the UFL and the merger and everything like that,
it was
and
tough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interest, I think, in this league, and so a lot of kind of free agents have signed with different teams, and I mean, you look at we kind of knew this was coming, but I mean, you look at the guys that were let go, and obviously, I mean, the talent is incredible, and so as I've been kind of telling people, like, well, if you look at how talented these guys were that we've decided to move on from, what does that say about the talent of the guys that are still there? You know what I mean? It's just like, obviously all you guys can play. All you guys are NFL quality players. Almost all of you guys have been in the NFL, some of you for several years. So, that's just, I mean, it just goes to show you the amount of talent that's out there. But again, congratulations on sort of making it and honestly making it at a tough spot. Cause one of the things I've talked about on here, because I had an interview with Zach Potter, was, one of the things they wanted to do this offseason was really address the defense and kind of strengthen the defense, because they felt like it could have been better last year. And a big part of that was the secondary. And if you look at our secondary going into the 2024 season, there's very little continuity from previous years. Lorenzo Burns is back, who's been with us for a little bit, and JoJo's back, who's been with us. But other than that, all you guys are new, and all you guys pretty much have spent some time this past year in the NFL. Yourself, Chris Jackson, Mark Gilbert, Neville Clark, those were guys that were familiar with these spring leagues, but spent time in NFL camps. Ike Brown, like all of you guys are obviously incredibly talented, and I can only imagine how challenging it was to kind of make yourself stand out and convince, the coaches that, hey, like, you can only keep so many, and I'm one of the guys you got to keep. So,
Yeah,
so all that to say, congrats on sort of making that final roster, and we're certainly really excited to see you out on the field.
appreciate it.
Maybe talk a little bit about, what's the experience of camp kind of been like? And, this is your first year in kind of one of these leagues. Some guys
Mhm.
were in the XFL or USFL. This is your first kind of go round with it. So, how has it been so far? What's kind of stood out to you, versus your time in the NFL?
So I would think for sure, not having any preseason games. I know they
Mhm.
tried to introduce like the scrimmages, but there's only so much you can do in a scrimmage because of the fast track as far as we have to play really quickly. So I think that was definitely a thing that I had to get adjusted with as far as, dang, we really do play in 3 weeks. Like, yeah, we really
Yeah.
play on March 30th. Like, we play in a month. So it was a good thing and a bad thing as far as, I had to make sure to push myself extra hard to get myself in that game
Mhm.
shape, to get myself going, to fix mistakes relatively quickly. But like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing because like that's also teaching you to adapt. Say, you go into a training camp and a coach is making a correction. And in training camp, some dudes kind of mull around and you finally figured out the first, second preseason game and you really start to come on. But here we didn't have that type of time where
Yeah.
you could have a couple of days of bad practices and you could fix it on the preseason game and be okay.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is fast track. So it really definitely made me hone in and lock in. And every single day, am I getting better? Obviously we missed ball. A lot of us, didn't play last year, so we missed a
Mhm.
lot of substantial amount of ball. And for a lot of us, that was the first time not playing ball in the fall. So it's like, hey, how can I get better every single day? And how do I way where we're not hurting? So how do we practice a certain way and get better where we're not getting anybody hurt? We're still able to give each other good work and we're still able to hone in on our skills. So I think definitely that was a difference maker for me because I had to keep telling myself, like, man, we're playing a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And obviously, like you said, there are a lot of great talent on the team. So how are you going to stand out? And, being stand out is being consistent, fixing things that the coach says relatively quickly, going out there and showing improvement every day. And we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of live action where, that could be the difference maker for some people making and some people not. So I think definitely that was a big difference from being in the league, having 3 preseason games and, stuff like that. Cause, technically, nobody in the league in the UFL really tackled. So
Mhm.
that's another thing. Like, how is that going to look on game day? And to me, in order to prepare ourselves, am I finishing to the ball in practice? Am I finishing in good football position? And every time that they're running the ball, am I eyeing the hip and making sure I'm taking my good angles and not just being on some like, oh, I'm in practice. Oh, I would have made it.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to make sure that my body position is right to prepare myself for the game. And that's
Yeah.
I think just being a pro and having that
For
attention to
sure.
detail. And I had some great vets when I was in the league, playing with the likes of like Logan Ryan and people like that, James Bradbury, Gilmore, stuff like that. So that just, kind of translated for me.
Yeah, that's great. And you talked about coaching. I mean, how has it been working with specifically Coach Chamberlain? He was a guy that was with the Stallions in 2022, and I thought did a really great job. He went to the XFL last year, but we were lucky enough to get him back. And I don't know if he's talked to you all about this, but he's actually from Birmingham. He graduated high
Yeah,
school.
yeah. He told us that. Yeah, he told us that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome to have him on the staff, not only because he's an incredible coach with an incredible resume, but he's like actually from Birmingham and represents the city, which is really, really cool too, I think. But how's it been kind of working with him?
Coach Chambers is definitely a cool dude. I mean, it's been a joy working with him, and I really like him, his coaching style, because he knows that he can't fully change us as far as we've been doing some stuff that we've been
Hmm.
doing for a long time. And I like him because his goal, and he tells us all the time, is to give us nuggets and to give us tidbits to help us stick in the league where he may see some deficiencies. And, sometimes in the league, we have a lot of things going on in the NFL. You're not always able to just hone in and work on specific techniques that singular player needs. And, because
Hmm.
coaches, there's a lot going on. We have a lot of things that we have to do. We got to prepare a lot of tape. So I think it was great for him that he's doing that for each of us, where he sat down and talked with us of certain things, aspects of our game that he thought we needed to work on. And in order to put us closer to not only just getting PBUs, but getting interceptions. Because we all know when you get interceptions, you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
And so, he's been a joy working with, and hasn't tried to just some coaches be like, this is my way or the highway. Nah, he really tries to work with us and work with our technique and see what each player does, because we all do things a little differently and we all do things better than others. Some people can do this, some people can do that, and so I really appreciate that about him, and just keeping it honest with us, and not having a super strict meeting. We're able to go in there and be ourselves and joke around, but when it's time to lock in, we lock in, and just
Mhm.
giving us a lot of ball, because I mean, ultimately, you can always keep learning. I don't think you ever can stop learning
Yeah.
about ball and formations and just being a better, smarter football player.
Well, you kind of mentioned the meeting room and the group, and maybe talk briefly, if you can, about sort of like the connection that some of the DBs have. I mean, in some of your videos you posted, you've been going out with Neville Clark and Ike Brown, and like from what I can tell, it seems like you guys are clicking and having a good time. But how's it been kind of working with those guys?
Man, it's been great. Me and Neville was together at the Steelers, during training
Uh-huh.
camp, and me and Kenny been together since the Panthers.
Yep.
So, I've known them for a while, and all the guys have been great, because I think when you have a room that everybody's sole focus is to be better and to be great, and to dominate, you're gonna click well, because we all are on the
Mhm.
same path. All mine is in the same direction. So working with AJ and everybody that's been in the room, Lorenzo and JoJo, and just being with everybody has been a great thing. And yeah, Neville already knew, and Ike I kind of already knew through mutual friends. So that's kind of how we got our initial click. But we hang out with everybody, and we all got different family life and different walks of life. Some
Yep.
people do got kids, and some people
Yeah.
got this going on at home. So I think we definitely find time to hang out as a group and just get to know each other, because that's going to build that team chemistry on the field. We're really able to trust everybody and go out there and just play 100% and know that I know that he's going to get his job done. And I think that's the ultimate thing, like where you can really truly play free when you know the defense, you know what's going on, and I know that my teammate's going to be there. I know my safety's going to be there in the post. I know he's going to go up there and make that tackle. I know he's going to do what he's supposed to do. And I think that's a big key factor in having a championship defense and having good communication. Because without communication, I don't think you could be a good defense. So it's definitely been great. And even the linebackers, D line, we all have a good time in the locker room. We all have good camaraderie, and like I said, we're all on that same goal as one. A lot of us, we want to get back to the NFL, and at the same time, we want to go out here and win.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, like we're not trying to lose, and we want to put a good body of work on tape. Because ultimately, I believe like you are who you put on tape.
Hmm.
You may be better than what you put on tape, but in the day, people are going to grade that tape. So everybody wants to put a good body of work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Madre, this has been super fun, and maybe just one kind of final question for you here, a more of a kind of a fun one before we let you
Mm-hmm.
go. But I have talked to a decent number of Stallions fans who are making the trip out to Arlington for that first game because they,
Pull
new
up.
league kickoff. Yeah, it's really exciting. So, I don't know how many, but I think we'll have at least a decent contingent for sure. And so they're gonna be coming to your city. I didn't know if you had any, you don't have to give away all your best secrets, but any spots that you recommend or places they might want to hit up. If, I've already had one or two people say, hey, like I need some recommendations for, where to eat in Arlington or what to do, So if any, any advice for the Stallions fan that might be coming
Yeah,
out in a
so for
week.
sure, if you're coming to Arlington, we already got the biggest sports bar, whatever in the country at Texas Live. So, people want to go there, enjoy sports, and go getting some drinks. That's definitely a spot that's nice. You can take your lady. All
Yeah.
that is definitely dope right there. And then there's a street called Collins. They got all the spots, all the basic spots. People, they want the Canes, the Chick-fil-A. We got a great Philly cheese spot over there. We got all type of stuff over there on Collins to Brown. Like that's all the area right there. And then I would say Arlington is a pretty low-key a big city, but it's not the
Hmm.
same time. Like low-key got like almost 500,000 people there. So it got a
Yeah.
good amount of people. So anything on that side of town is gonna be great. We got Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, all that stuff's coming available. So some people get down there early and it's open. You can definitely take your kids there and have a good time. And still, we're only 15 minutes from Dallas. So for the people that are getting there a day before, you can still take your lady out to a nice restaurant out there. And we even have a steakhouse in Arlington that the mayor owns. So
Oh.
that's definitely a spot that you can go to over there. We got like the salt grasses and all this stuff like that. But those are definitely a couple of spots and recommendations that I would say to go take. Your family very safe. Out there have a great time.
Yeah, that's great. We appreciate that. Is there going to be like a big, huge Madre Harper like family, friends cheering section at
I
the first
definitely
game?
got a lot of people coming to the game for sure. But hey, I mean, everybody as long people that supporting the Stallions, you with me. So that's how I feel.
That's right.
We all the same teams. We all rocking together. But yeah, I definitely got a
Absolutely.
lot of people. Actually, my high school is like 5 minutes up the street from where we
Right.
practice. So like, definitely got a lot of people that are going to be tuning in and watching the game. And, like we talked about, I went to the XFL game when I was coming out of college. And that's why I
Uh-huh.
was able to see PJ Walker.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
ended
yeah.
up being teammates together at the Panthers.
That's
So,
crazy.
I ended up getting my first day when I was coming out of college. I ended up got to see them play, and I get to see PJ. And I told him that when I saw him at the Panthers, like, man, I saw you play. I knew you was gonna get back. I knew you was gonna get back in the league. And so I
Yeah,
definitely think it's dope for high school kids that know me and other people just trying to see spring football and just see, these guys are gonna make it and they're gonna get back into the league, and just another great body of work to put out. And I think it's definitely gonna be dope and a good environment. I'm interested to see, like, since the leagues are combined, what the rollout is going to be for the first game. I think it's going to be a lot of great energy. And man, like, I miss it. I mean, I miss being out there with the fans and hearing the oohs and ahs and,
yeah.
just competing at the highest level. So I definitely think it's going to be a great time.
No, yeah, I think it's going to be hype. We got the XFL champion, USFL champion. There's been a lot of talk about, which one would
What
win,
better
which
way
one
to
was
pop
better.
off the
So,
season? You got to.
yeah, it's going to be crazy for sure. And if any Stallions fans are still on the fence about coming out, like, you got to come. It's going to be worth it
You got
for
to pull up
sure.
because, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of traveling this year since this
Yep,
is the hub. So, you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
we're gonna be everywhere. So hey, I think this would definitely be a great spot to come to and enjoy everything that Dallas Fort Worth has to offer and my
For
city
sure.
Arlington has to offer. We definitely appreciate you guys coming down and spending your money with my city. I love my city, so definitely appreciate that. And I know the businesses and hotels and everybody really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Harper click there in the stands. I mean, that's kind of one of the, like, it's kind of something you would never really think about, but one of the kind of like random, like, cool things about these leagues is, like, last year I had my wife and I had season tickets kind of like on the
Mhm.
50-yard line at Stallions games. And it just so happened that sitting directly next to us was Brandon Aubrey's
Mm.
parents and wife, who, like, he's now the kicker for the Cowboys in the
Yeah.
NFL. He's like a household
Yep.
name, like all pro guy. And it's like we spent the whole season sitting next to them, like, and getting to kind of chat with them a little bit. And, they would be
Right.
cheering for him and all that kind of thing. And so it's like, and there was other players who's like, you just kind of because the fan base is still big, but it's not so big. Like, there's not 100,000 people in there where you can actually, like, if you go to the game week after week, you can kind of connect with people and, like,
Yeah. Connect
get
with
to
people
know
and see
other
people week
fans.
after week and build that. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So there was, like, some of the players, like, wives and parents and friends and stuff like that that would be there each week, and you kind of get to connect with them and stuff like that. So, I watched your last video and you had your pops in there, so I'll have to see if I can find Mr. Harper in the
Oh
stands
yeah,
and
you done. Hey,
give him a shout out.
he ain't missing it for the world. He gonna be there for sure. You gonna see it. You ain't gonna miss him for sure. He gonna be there. He
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
locked in for sure.
yeah, that's
For
awesome.
sure.
Well, this has been great, man. Again, really appreciate you doing that. Can't wait to see you. And just, it'll be a couple days when this comes out. It'll be a couple days, and then you'll be on the field. And we won't be talking about the game anymore. We'll be playing it. So
We'll be
can't
playing it
wait
for
for
sure,
that.
most
But
definitely.
we'll be
Yeah, I
cheering you
appreciate
on.
you having me on. Hey man,
Yeah,
anytime. I definitely love doing stuff like this and giving people just a little insight of what's going on and just showing people like, hey man, we just trying to be great out here. That's it.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we really, really appreciate it. And again, for those of you who are listening, make sure you check out Madre's vlog. It's been great. And once the season happens, it's definitely going to be, can't miss content, because you want to kind of get the breakdown of the games each week from somebody who actually got to play in it. You can hear me talk about it, but I don't know what I'm talking about. So make sure
Yeah,
don't watch me, watch him. He knows what's going on. So,
I
um,
appreciate it. Yeah,
yeah, but again, Madre, it's been awesome. Thank you so much, man. And can't wait to see you out there this weekend.
man, I appreciate it.